Good morning or good afternoon. Either way, happy Friday to you. Today, we are going to be building a Jeopardy game. Now, if you've been with me before for some of these live streams, you've seen me build a trivia game before, which was a team based, basically single question trivia game. And that's really cool. But this week, we went on the Believe It Serverless live stream and did a Family Feud style game with a bunch of people from the community. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And that made me want to try out other types of games. So today we're going to be building Jeopardy. But before we do that, I want to show you a clip from the Family Feud because it was so much fun. And one of the things about Family Feud is that the most correct answer is not always right because it is survey based. So you have to figure out what is the most popular answer versus what's the most correct answer. So let's take a look at a scene super fast where I was completely robbed.
So, Alan, to keep the game alive, keep possession
Yep.
of the question for your team. Can I have an answer? Name something you
Yeah.
can do in S3 bucket.
So I'm going to read into the nuance here on my first answer because on the screen it says write an object. So I'm going to say read an object.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Our survey says.
Aw. What could number one be?
I still think that was the right answer, honestly. So anyway. Oh, good morning, Andres. Good morning to you. If you want to come join me, feel free. Just come hop in. Besides that, though, we're going to go and we're going to build Jeopardy today, and we're going to be building off of the gaming platform that I've built before. So let's get into it. Now, you might notice that this layout that you see on the screen is a little bit different. I'm gonna try something fancy today. We'll try some of my new layouts. So we'll see if it looks pretty good. So let's swap over here. At least let's try. Swap over to VS Code. Yeah, fancy. Okay, so what we need to do. There we go. Let me move my screen over here. Like I said before, we're building off of an existing application. I basically have like the buzz in already and a single trivia game. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building Jeopardy into that as a game option. Now, if you haven't seen it before, I'll go ahead and flip over to what that looks like real quick. And we have this trivia game, and it allows people to go in and basically join up. You have this QR code that people can scan and join, and it will show questions like this. And when people join, they can basically look at their phone and have a button that says, I know the answer to that. And then you can say yes or no. So we're going to kind of hook into the existing infrastructure on this and build out Jeopardy as Jeopardy on top of it. There's already a lot of things that we can reuse. So we just have to add a couple of more or less logical forks inside of this application. So let's do that. The first thing we're going to be doing is editing the API that we have. Now, in the promo for this, I said, let's build this with the least amount of code possible. And I mean, that's how I try to code all the time. Less code, less problems. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Neon, serverless Postgres for storage and retrieval of the questions. And then we're going to be using Momento for serving that data after it's been configured, because Momento will allow us to basically pull that data, present it on the screen without having to build additional APIs. We can use the web SDK directly in the front end to fetch the data as long as we put it into the cache in the back end when we create the game. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So for our API, we have games index. And this is where we go and create the game. So if we're doing post to /games, this is where right now it's kind of just creating that generic trivia game. And this is where we need to do the fork. So what we have right now, if we look at the Open API spec, we pass in pass key and deduct points, but now we need to provide a type. So, or like a game mode. So let's do that. Let's do game mode, type string, enum. We'll just call this, let's say, default. Now we'll just call it trivia. And we'll do Jeopardy as our game modes. And so we don't need to pass in game mode. If it's not passed in, we'll just default to trivia. So we'll do that. Sounds good. So now we know in the backend we can look for game mode with these values. So jumping back into the game, we are going to look over here. We're going to say, okay. Switch game mode. To lowercase. Okay. Set up game here. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of default. We'll figure out what we need to do as we go on here, which I don't think is actually a whole lot. Now, for Jeopardy, if you guys don't know, it's 5 categories. 5, and within it, it has 5 questions inside of each category. So really what we need to do is randomly pick these categories and then subsequently randomly go ahead and pick those questions inside of there. Now we already have a whole bank of questions stored inside of Neon that we can go and randomly pick out of. So that's what we're going to do. I think what we'll do, just for sake of simplicity, is we're going to separate the logic for Jeopardy inside of its own class file. I realize I didn't ever switch back to VS Code. So let's do that. Okay. So we have the switch statement in here for the game mode. And now we're going to go in and actually do some stuff here. So let's add a new file called Jeopardy. And we'll figure it out as we go. So the things that we know we need to do is get 5 random categories. And in this case, those are actually tags inside of how we've labeled our questions. And then we have for each category, get 5 random questions. And then we're going to go and save those inside of Momento cache so we can pull those in from the front end. So to do that, we're going to need to query Neon. So let's see what we have in here so far. Let's see, games, questions, here. And this is how we're communicating with Neon. So I'm gonna copy this. Just so we can bootstrap ourselves. So now we have a connection over to Neon, which will be nice and quick for us. So what we want to do is we want to get 5 random tags out of here. And let's take a quick look. Let's bounce over back to Neon and take a look at what our database looks like. Okay, so we only have 3 tables. We have question, tag, and this link table for question tag. You can see we have a whole bunch of different options in here. So what I think we need to do is just randomly select 5 of these tags. And to do that, let's write a query here. Here we go. So, yeah, this really is about, this is what I wanted to see. We're going to do select star from, what is it called? Tag. Order by random limit 5. Let's do that. Now, in order to test this and get really quick feedback cycles, let's just create an API endpoint real fast and just hit it on localhost. So let's do games. Here, we'll do this. Games. Yeah, we'll do it like this. Super fast. So games, questions, and then we'll do our Jeopardy thing. Let's copy this. Super fast. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, instead of this, we're going to import Jeopardy. Import. Where are we? // Jeopardy. It's using IntelliSense because I don't actually know if I even default or export default. Let's do that. Set up game. Okay, so really what we're doing right now is we're just going to test to see if this works. And then we will do res dot status 200 JSON results. So this is just going to give us the raw feedback from here. Let's see how we're querying. Let's just reuse what we've done before, right? How are we querying Neon here? There we go. Goodness, here we go. So inside of our Jeopardy thing, we have this, and we're going to say, okay. Okay, so now we should actually have something that we can hit. So let's open up Postman. And it's making me authenticate, which is fine. Okay, we're back. So we should be able to hit this. HTTP localhost 3000 / API games questions. I did not expect to see that. That's funny. $403, that's kind of surprising. We don't have any auth on here. Let's try turning it back or off and back on again and see if that does anything. Okay, well, that at least gets us somewhere. All right, doesn't like something that we did, but I don't know what. The to argument must be of type string. Honestly, I don't know what that means. I don't even know. This one, I don't know. Let's just remove everything that we did because we haven't done much. Get rid of that. And try running it again. Okay. Weird. I didn't think I put auth in here. Like, I don't know if that's something that I did over everything. No. Let's see. Let's change the endpoint. Games. Is that games? No. Just Jeopardy. Okay, yeah. So this is actually getting us somewhere because signature is off. Let's change this. And then we'll come back. RES status 200 JSON results. Let's do that. Okay. I don't know what happened before, but here we go. So now we have randomly picked these different categories. So if we were going and creating this new Jeopardy game, we would have event, ETL, GCP, cache, and AI. Now, from within there, now that we have all of these, we want to go in and randomly select 5 questions from there. So let's take a look and see how we can do that. So we know what this looks like. We know what that results thing looks like. So we will do for const, I guess we'll call this category. Categories. Category of categories. So this is going to be iterating over each one. We're going to be doing roughly the same thing. So we will, let's take a look at what we did for getting a next question. It's been a long time since I've done relational database work. Here we go. Okay, so we have select this, left join here. Yeah, it's basically going to be this. Okay, so we're going to say select the question ID, the question and the answer from question, left join question tag, left join. Actually, we don't even need this. Where ut dot, is it tag ID? Yes, tag underscore ID is what we're looking at. Okay, equals, and then we'll do category ID. And then we will do order by random, limit 5. So we've selected 5 random questions from this category. And then we can do the same thing that we did before, const questions equals there we go. Still kind of early. SQL query, and then inside of this we'll do tag or category.id. How do we do that before? Yeah, we'll do this so we don't do SQL injection on accident. There. That's how we get around SQL injection. I don't know why. I read the article that Neon produced that says doing it this way is not prone to SQL injection, but it was really it was really technical and in depth. I didn't really fully understand, but I will just take their word for it because they are the experts. Yeah, so index starts at 1. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, so before we do that, let's create an object to house everything. We'll do const game equals blah, and then we'll do this. Game dot push category, and we'll say, yeah, category dot. Just gonna keep jumping around. Name. And then we will do questions like that. And then we will do return game. Let's see if that works. So now instead of returning these tags, we should be getting a bigger object that has the category and the 5 questions that it's randomly picked. Okay, so in this new game, it selected analytics as one of the category, and it has this in here. So this is good. So it randomly chose these questions. Now it looks like it is currently choosing categories that only has like 1 question in it, and the one that doesn't have 5, which I think we'll probably just come back to. Right now, I want to get this in and actually create this so we can read from the front end. Because right now it's basically working. We just don't have the amount of questions or the volume of questions in there that we need. So this is good. This is actually exactly what we wanted. Perfect. Okay. So we have all of our categories. We have all the questions. Let's put that into a cache so we know, or so we can load that in the front end. And let's figure out the best way to do that, because there's different ways for us to rock this. I think what we're going to do is create a dictionary with the index. That's what we're going to do. We're going to create a dictionary inside of Momento, which is basically object storage in the cache. And inside of that object, for the properties, we're going to have the category and the index of the question. And for that, we're going to save a JSON object that has the ID of the question and whether or not it has been played. So let's do that. Let's see what that looks like, because that was a lot of words. This is where it gets fun, because this is the cool, clever part there, where we're going to be saving tons and tons of code, because we're going to be using Momento, which is usable on the server side and the front end. Let's pull our imports from something we've done before. Yeah, we'll do this. Okay, so we have imported this. Let's go back. Create a new cache client. Here we go. And then we've set our default TTL to an hour for the cache client. So let's do this. We'll pull things in as we need. The first thing, let's write down what we need to do. Create a cache dictionary to store categories and question values. And then we need to also put that question and answer inside of the cache itself, so we don't need to create an API call to go back and forth. Add cache values. I guess we'll do add question cache, just like that. That should be easy enough. Now, one of the things that we did on the first go around when we were building the game apps is the principle of least privilege. And to do that, we created a short privilege where you can only access things or cache keys that are prefixed with the game ID that you are using. Which was in here. No, it's somewhere. So in here in our auth client, I think down here we have our scopes. So this is defining the set of privileges and permissions that we're going to be using on the front end. So for the host, it has a whole bunch of things, but for players, you can see we're publishing only, subscribing, and then we're reading only to a specific thing. So what we can also do in here is we can add a permission to read a wildcard or a prefix. So what we'll do is we'll prefix all of the values that we're about to add into the cache with this game ID. And from there, we'll be able to access with principle of least privilege down to the scope. Good values here. So, okay. So real quick, I'm gonna do some background music because I like music. Hopefully that. Okay, let's go back to Jeopardy. Okay, so let's create a cache dictionary to store the categories of question values. Now, what we're gonna end up doing is just an object. So let's build that object that has categories and the questions as properties. So, okay. Let's do it this way. Okay, so we're gonna add all these permissions in here. We're gonna say game and then for this we're gonna say category dot name. Yeah, okay. This way. For this, a little bit easier in JavaScript when you're doing async stuff like this instead of using map. So we're going to do game with a property of category.name. Oops. Dash, and then the index. Good. We'll do it the good old-fashioned way for the for loop. Let index equals 0. Index is less than questions dot length. Index plus plus. So what we're doing is we're building this JavaScript object in here to represent the category and then the question within the category at a specific index. So is played equals false. Question ID is questions at index.id. Okay, so there we've set up the value here. And now we're going to go in and actually put that question inside of Momento. So we'll do await cache dot set I believe, let me jump over real quick and look at what cache we're actually using. Just the game cache. Game. And then for the cache key, we're going to say it's the game ID. I don't have the game ID yet, so we're going to hard code that at the moment. Okay. Dash, and then we're going to do the question ID. And in 1 second, I will explain what we have just done. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. So what this has done is it's set up basically a map, this first line of everything that we are going to be using for that game. So let's take an example. If we look at our last game here, we have the analytics category, and then we have these questions inside of it. It's really just these two right now. So what we're going to end up doing when we're going in and playing on the front end, we're going to be loading the map, the categories and the questions that we want inside of that. But we don't want to pass down the questions and the answers for everything down in one go. That ends up being really large and probably not as safe as we want it to be. So what we're doing is we're creating an object that we're going to store in a dictionary. We can pull out individual values each time. That says analytics -0, which means the first question in the analytics category is question ID number 29. And then we went and added question number 29 into the cache itself. So we can say, give me, later in a different call, give me the question and answer for number 29. And then we can fetch this on demand instead of passing everything down in one go. So that's what these two lines are doing. We're setting that up. At the very end, after we do all of this, then we're going to go and save that game in the dictionary itself. Wait, cache, dictionary, set fields. In the game cache, we are going to do, what should we call this? We should call this game ID dash questions. Probably sounds good for Jeopardy. And then we'll pass in that game object. And it will automatically add all those things into the cache for us. For now, let's take a look at what that game looks like. Let's go and hit it again, see if we get any errors, and see how our data has changed. Okay, so we got an error. We got pretty far though. Let's see. Question is not defined. Oh, right. Okay, let's just do this. Because we're using the good old-fashioned for loop, we need to, we'll just call it Q. And then we'll rename all these things. There. Let's try that again. One more time. Not particularly fast, but that's fine. Okay, so this is the game that, or this is that JSON representation of what we were just talking about. So you can see our categories here are AI, analytics, big data, event, and ETL. And inside of those, each the questions at each index here are displayed. So this is what we're going to be loading out of the cache in the front end to actually build out that Jeopardy board. So we say is played is false, and the ID of the question itself. Now, we have is played in here. We're kind of getting ahead to actual implementation, but after you ask for a game inside, or ask for a question in Jeopardy, nobody can ask for it. So you could say, give me AI for $300, and you'll play that, but then nobody can get that question again. So what we'll end up doing is we'll say is played as true, and that will turn the game board off, more or less, for that question. Okay, so with that, we've basically set up a Jeopardy game. We have the random tags and we have the random questions. If we run it again, we have a different set of questions and categories. And man, I don't know. AI is always in here, but I guess that's kind of the theme of the tech community right now, isn't it? AI is everywhere all the time. It's in there again. Let me try one more time. I know we have so many different categories. Let me look. Here, look. We have 27 different categories that you could possibly choose from. I don't know why AI is in there every time. It's not even like index of 1, it's index of 8. Okay, it does look like we finally got one in here that doesn't include AI. But we get it now. We get it. This is our game. This is that Jeopardy board. And it didn't really take that much code, really. It was 2 queries and then this little guy, which sets us up pretty far. So now what we need to do is we need to go in and update that game endpoint. So let's do that. I changed my mind on separating the logic out. Maybe I'll do that at a later time when we're not on stream and I can figure out how to properly import. Okay. So here's setting up Jeopardy. And in our switch statement that we have up at the top, we'll do await set up Jeopardy, and we will use the game ID. Let's make sure that it exists before we do it. There we go. Oop. Game ID. Cool. All right, easy enough. And then we'll break so we don't do anything else. And I don't think there's anything we need to do for trivia mode, but let's make sure that we have everything right. So game ID, we can delete that. And I think we're good. Is there anything that we need to return? I don't think so. No, we're good here. So we've set everything up on the back end for Jeopardy. Now what we're going to do is, where does game come from? Okay, so game comes from the request body. So we should already have the game mode. Let's do this. Game.game mode. So what we're doing here is we're using, there we go, some shorthand operators to say, set this value to the lowercase of what was passed in, use trivia as default if nothing was passed in. And then we can say that. Okay, nice. And everything else should be the exact same. Yes, yes, yes. Now, because we've added a whole lot more cache items, we're not gonna, the players aren't gonna be loading out of the cache, but the host is. So let's go update the permissions of the host. See if we need to anyway. So you can see down here, the host is able to read and write to anything that's prefixed with game ID, which means we already have the permissions set. So we're all good. We don't have to change any permissions on that one. Let's update another API for game ID. If we're gonna load the details. We need to figure out what we need to be able to render on screen. So we will do this. This is what's being returned. Okay. Nice. So far what we've done is we've set up the questions for Jeopardy, and we have returned the game mode. Now we can update the user interface real quick and show that. App. Okay. So this, I believe, yeah, create game. Let's remind ourselves what this looks like. Let's go back here, create game. So this is what we're looking at. And we should create maybe radio buttons for the game mode on here. Now, I am not super great at what this should look like. Okay, cool. We're gonna copy and paste these and just reuse that. So we have passkey. Yeah, here we go. Let's get rid of the things that don't exist first. So the label is going to be, we'll just call that trivia. Work our way back into this. I hope I'm not the only one that does this. I hope I'm not the only one that just copies, pastes, and replaces what we need. Okay, so let's call this Jeopardy. Jeopardy. And then this one is trivia. Trivia. We'll call this game mode. Game mode. Value. Jeopardy. Value. What do we say? Trivia. There we go. Okay, let's take a look. See what that looks like. Nice. But we don't really need it to look like this. We're totally fine if they're side by side. So I'm going to leave the view on the display while I do this. So let's do, I don't want this. I don't want a background. Okay. Text white, I think is what it's called. No, font white. No, we'll figure it out. We'll get it. Oh, it's the label. Okay. Okay, so as we build this out, let's see. We have that. We have... Okay, and then we're going to remove the color from that. And then the next thing is we want this to display next to each other. Switch back real quick. Okay, so we want this to flex both of these components. class name, flex. Ugh. Oh, there we go. We're good. Look at that. Okay. So that looks good to me. Let's default the value to trivia. Yeah. Checked. So in order to do that, we actually need to start tracking this value. So let's just copy what we're doing here. Let's go to where passkey is defined, and we're going to do the same thing. Const game mode set game mode equals use state trivia. So we're going to default the value to trivia, and we're going to track that value up here in the state, and we're using React. So let's bring that down here. So for these, we're going to say actually, I don't remember how we did that. Okay, so we're going to do checked. So we're going to do game mode Jeopardy. And then up here, we're going to say checked is game mode equals trivia. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to set the on change. So whenever somebody clicks on one of these things, set game mode trivia. Do that down here for Jeopardy as well. And then was there anything else? No. So now we flip back. Let's take a look. It should default to trivia, and I can switch both of those. That doesn't feel like a big accomplishment, but I don't know. Works for me. I'll take the small wins, especially when doing things live. Now we need to pass in game mode into the API that we have updated. So we should have an API call right here. So handle create game. Now we're going to be passing in game mode as well. So at this point, we have added those radio buttons. We have passed in the value from said radio buttons. And we have actually created the list of questions and the categories for the game over in the backend. To test this, let's do a fetch. Let's do this. Yeah, here we go. So I will open up the console. Let me make sure that this is actually visible so you guys can see it too. Here, we'll do the integrated one down here. See that. Okay. So ideally what we'll see. Yes, we're Allen. So we're doing a Jeopardy game. Now this should take, the 3 seconds that it took before. I think we broke something. Let's look. We did. Look at that. We got a 500. Let's flip back to VS Code and take a look at what that 500 was. SQL is not defined, which means that we missed an import statement. So if we go back to our controller for creating a new game, that's this guy, API/games. We have our setup Jeopardy, but we didn't import this and create that. So what we need to do is steal what we used before. We're going to import Neon and initialize that client. And now we should be good to go. Easy mistake. Blame it on Friday morning. Maybe we can do that. Let's try again. All right, you go away. Create game. Jeopardy. Create game. So hopefully this works now. Okay, this looks better. Looks better. KBEG actually came up with something. Now what we want to do is really to verify that it works is we're going to take a look at this API endpoint, because this was our get. Now, hopefully, this has the game mode in here set to Jeopardy. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now we're cooking. So that really wasn't that many lines of code. Remember, that's kind of what we're grading today. Let's oh, oops. This whole switching views thing is going to get me. This is what we were looking at. We were looking at the console here inside of Chrome. I clicked on the get for the game, and we looked at the response. We could see the game mode is being populated in here. Now, that's exactly what we wanted. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at how many lines of code that was. So we did this. This isn't actually functionally doing anything, but it is good to document as we go. Inside of our page, we added a couple lines of code and added an expanded radio buttons. Inside of the existing code that we have, we had two. Really not that much. This is really the meat of it, which is 20 lines of code. And then what was this one? We added 1 line of code. So let's just say that we have added the capability behind the scenes to make Jeopardy in 21 lines of code so far. We do have more, but the majority of it here for actually getting the game set up is done in 21 lines of code, which is so awesome. So let's see what we have to do to get these displaying on the screen. Let's look at the game page in the user interface. That's this one, I think. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's this one. So this is that gameplay. Down here, we have... Goodness, that is a lot of lines of code. This is the user interface. This is the piece that we've been looking at. Let's make this a little bit wider so we can see. This is what we want to update now, because now we actually need to display what that Jeopardy game looks like. So let's do that. So up here, what do we have? We have game, default game. We need to add the game mode. Trivia. From here, we have saved the game mode to Jeopardy. So we'll be able to branch the logic for what is actually displayed on screen based on the game mode. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how quickly we can do it. And just for the sake of time, the first iteration, we're just going to display it on screen. Like whatever's there now, we can just add on top of it. So what we'll be doing is we'll just be going back and forth. So this is what we're working with right now. This is what the trivia game looks like. And I think what we'll do is we'll just replace everything in this white box with a Jeopardy table. And if we can get to there today, I think I would be very happy. So to the code. All right. This is it. So we'll do game mode equals trivia, and so all the way down here, we'll do this, else, and then down here we have this is our Jeopardy. Maybe? Oh, we'll just do it this way. Okay. Yeah. I'm making it too hard. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is an error message, of course. I broke something. So I'd expected something here, I guess. Oh. I guess I'm not really allowed to do it this way. Let's change this. Something that actually works. Game mode is playing, and this is what we'll do. We'll just add to the conditions. And game mode equals trivia. So this is going to give us what we had before if it's a trivia game. Now instead, well, and let's look, it's gone because our game mode is set to Jeopardy. So coming back, let's change that. So let's add this down here. And I know this is really not the way that you're supposed to be doing it. I am fully aware, but for the sake of time, this is how we're going to be operating. Okay, so we're going to prove that this works. It does. We can see hello. I'll make it say hello world for all of my friends. Hello world. Now we're actually going to go and do some of the cool stuff. So what we needed to be doing is creating a table, but first we have to load the game data, which is that object that we created at the very, very beginning. So to do that, let's load data out of the cache as part of our initialization. So whenever we're setting the game, where do we have set game? Set game. We have set game, set players, set the purple score, and set the blue score. So at this point, we need to actually go and fetch the Jeopardy game out of the cache itself. And let's do that by separating it out into its own function. Const load Jeopardy game equals async. Okay, so const Jeopardy game equals await cache client ref dot current dot dictionary fetch game, and then we'll do game ID dash question. Do you remember this is what we were loading before? Let's pause and go and make sure that we're actually doing that, or looking at the right key. So if we go back to our controller that creates the game, down here when we're setting up that game object and setting it in the dictionary, this is really what we're looking at. So we're game ID dash questions. So this is what we're going to be doing. So have all that. If data dot game mode equals Jeopardy, then we will call load Jeopardy game. And in here, to make sure we reference game ID correctly. Okay. Right now, let's just see if that comes back. Console.log Jeopardy game value. Okay, so we got an error. Let's refresh. See what our error is. Questions is not defined. Where? What could we have possibly changed? 142? Oh, okay, yeah, that's on me. It's funny. Kind of. Okay, so look, you can actually see it. It is in here. That's very exciting. this is what we needed to see. So now that we actually are fetching this out of the cache, now remember, we did not create an API endpoint to go fetch this data. We're actually just pulling it out of the cache directly. So what we're going to be doing is basically using this data, iterating over the properties, and building out that table that we're going to see on screen. Very cool. Love it when things just work. We can say that it just worked, right? We didn't have that many errors. Okay. So let's create a new state value that we're tracking. We're going to do const. And really what we should be doing is pulling this out into its own component and handling all this logic separately. But again, sake of time. Okay. So we have Jeopardy details, and I believe we do need to add a ref for this because it's going to be changing on us, and we need to be able to reference it. Reference it when the questions are changing. Okay. Now that we have saved all of this information, what we need to do is display it on screen. So if we jump back down to our code, I bet. Let's jump back down to our code and start iterating over these values. So we want a table. And for the table head, there we go. I think this is what we need to be doing. It's been a while. We're gonna do Jeopardy details ref dot current. Object dot entries. Okay, so we're gonna do category and value. Here we go. Here we go. We got it. We got it. We'll modify this as we go because this is not the most efficient way to do this. We will do th category dot split because we had said this was a compound key. Let's see what that did. That did nothing. I honestly expected to see something there. Oh, right. That's not working because we are pulling from a ref that we never set. So wherever we do set, we don't do set Jeopardy details at all. So we're going to look at this. We have Jeopardy game, and we're going to do set Jeopardy details to Jeopardy game. And then we're going to do Jeopardy details ref.current is set to Jeopardy game. There. And now we can use that to render things on the screen. Now that we've done that, we immediately get an error, which, I mean, I guess technically is is progress. So it says Jeopardy details ref.current is not a function. Really not what I wanted to see, to be honest with you. Oh wait. I'm just setting this wrong. we go. Okay. So back to the list of errors, we have a new one, which is, again, progress. Oh, man. Okay, category.split is not a function. Oh, I can deal with that. That's real quick. I don't remember how to do this. How do I iterate properties of an object in JavaScript? I guess that works. No. That's the one that I want. Object.keys. Let's use that. Object.keys. Category. There. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. Well, I am confused now because I was expecting something to show up, but nothing is showing up. So let's see what we did wrong. Let's go down to the bottom of this and see if there is anything that is showing me an error on this in our next console. No. Let's go back to here, take a look, and nothing's showing us an error in here. I kind of expected it. Okay. And now we're not even, okay. All right, I have messed something up big time. And I don't know what. Oh no, I got rid of the console log. Okay, we should be okay. So much fun. Okay. Is this how? Okay. We're gonna follow up with ChatGPT and ask it what I'm doing wrong here. What's wrong with this? A couple issues. Okay. Oh. Nice. Okay, cool. How great. Okay, so this has bitten me more times than I would like to admit, is using these dang curly brackets instead of parentheses. Okay, so I switched the code to this. So this was curly brackets, and that's why nothing was rendering, and I changed it over to parentheses. So now let's do the moment of truth. Let's see. Okay, we got an error again, which I guess TH can't be a child of T head. I don't know. That seems suspect to me. I'm just going to copy all this. Oh, yeah, okay. I should have just done what ChatGPT said and stopped trying to be clever and just do it myself. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to see if ChatGPT was right, if it's a better coder than me. Let's see. Display list size limit type. All right, I'm gonna be honest, that is not at all what I expected to see. What? Okay. Ah, so much fun. Okay. So these are the all right, let's do this. Let's figure out what's going on here. We just need to log what this object is. do that. Ah. I don't even know if I can do this. No, I can't. So this is iterating over the properties inside of this object, which looks like it's okay. Let's do this. Let's go back. Put a border around the cells. I think that will help us a little bit with figuring out exactly what's going on here. Okay. Oh man, too much, too much. Here. Memory up, great. Okay. Oh nice, okay, so it's going and doing some stuff for us. Okay. Boop. What on earth is this? Okay, we gotta go back. We gotta look at what we're doing wrong here. Jeopardy. Details ref. Okay. That seems right. Oh. Oh. Ah. It is my own fault. Jeopardy game dot value. All right, we're gonna pretend like the last 20 minutes didn't happen, and we're gonna just do that. So, so embarrassing. Okay. So switching back, you can see that we have all of this, and it looks like this because of the index, the questions that are in there. So we need to get the distinct values for this. Yeah, okay, we can do that. It's just the way that we're parsing everything. So we will, let's just do pre-processing when we load that Jeopardy game. So we will, whoop, there we go. We're going to for object, yeah, details. We'll do key and value of that. Okay. Okay, let's make sure that I'm doing this right. I don't want to get too far in and mess up again. Okay, so it is right. So key is that, and here. So now what we need to do is recreate this game. So we need to, let's see, const j game equals this, and we'll do if j game. Whoop, hold on. So we're going to do category and index equals key dot split on that dash, because that's how we're delimiting our values. and we're going to be adding these to the game. So we'll do JGame if JGame has category, then we will be doing JGame at category equals this, where we have JSON.parse. How do we want to do this? So we have our category and then we have our index. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. We will say index, and then we will do so what we're doing here is we're building out that list of questions. So it'll be the index, it'll be the question, and it'll be the answer inside of that. Let's look at that. See how that builds out. Switching. This is what we have now. So we have GCP category, and in it, it has index. All these just have one. Oh, right. It only has one question because we didn't handle what happens if it already exists. That's funny. Else. JGame at category dot push index and JSON.parse value. So this is going to have everything self-contained, and then at the end we want to sort everything by the index. Yeah. So we'll do JGame. Probably a better way to do this, but we'll work on it. Object dot keys of JGame dot map key. We're just going to do a sort. JGame key sort. A dot index. Is it? Yeah, it's less than. I think it's like this. We're getting into it. We're getting into some real JavaScript right here. That didn't work though. Okay, one more time with ChatGPT. No, yeah, let's just display these questions on the screen. I'm fine with this. So for this, we're gonna set the details to JGame. JGame. Boom. Okay, and then we have to change what is actually displaying on screen to the categories. So we have, yeah. I think we can just do it like this now. Let's find out. Yeah, nice. Look at us go. Good job, team. And so now what we need to do is we need to display the questions underneath. So in here, we're going to do table body, and we will do, yeah, so this is going to be Ooh. I think I kind of painted myself into a corner with how this is going to work. No, we're good. We're good. We can do... Ooh, that's tricky, because what we need is we need to build all these rows, but we need to go cross categories. So what we need to be doing is pull the question at a specific index. That's a good one. So we need to iterate, I guess, 5 times. I'm kind of stumped. This is fun. So we'll do, I guess we'll do, how do I want to iterate up to 5 in React? Can we do 4s? No, I actually don't know how to do this. So, okay, we're gonna do it super hacky way. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This will work. Aha! Don't do the curly brackets again. So we'll do table row, and then what is going on here? Oh. We need one more thing. I'm definitely going to have to come back to this and do this in a significantly more efficient way, because I am not proud of what I'm doing right now. But we're getting it done. This means to an end. It's live, right? Okay. Okay, so we're going to be saving the list of categories. Cats. Okay, now we're gonna do categories dot map cat. Here we go. This will work. This will work. I'm pretty sure this will work. So we need a T cell. No. What's it called? TC? TD. Data cell. Okay, key equals, we'll call this do cats. And index. And then in it, we will do Jeopardy details ref.current at categories at the index that we're on. Ooh, I made this way too hard. Jeopardy, not as easy as I thought. Okay. So I think we've been going long enough where my Jeopardy game has actually expired. So let's create a new one. So we're here, create game, Jeopardy. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. So we got kind of far, I would say. It's really just my front end skills that are lacking, and maybe a little bit of organization skills that I was having some issues with. But the good thing is that we were able to actually build the back end for this relatively quickly. I want to say it was like 21 lines of code. There are a couple other things that we'll need to do, like the host, whenever a question is asked, we'll need to fetch the question and the answer out of the cache, display the answer, after the host says, yes, show me the answer, and then update the score. But that scoring mechanism is already in there. And then we need to, clean up what this game looks like. And then lastly, we need to only pull tags or categories that have 5 or more questions in there. Thank you for watching on this Friday morning. This was kind of a last minute thing, but I had fun. I'm excited for more of the Believe in Serverless game show. If you're interested in participating in like a Family Feud, or maybe in the future when I actually get working, Jeopardy, let us know. Just post that in any of the Discord, any of the social media. Just let us know that you want to play, and we'll get you. So that's it for me. Thank you guys again for watching, and we will talk to you later.